Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. In this problem, we're going to write the number 0.4, where 4 is repeating, as a geometric series. And then we're going to use that series to write my decimal as a ratio of two integers. Okay, well first a word about geometric series. A geometric series has the form a constant times, we call R our common ratio raised to the n power. If that common ratio, if the absolute value of it is less than 1, then that infinite sum is going to converge to a divided by 1 minus r. We're going to use that fact to help us write this number as an integer divided by an integer. But let's first of all write it as the geometric series. The first thing I'm going to notice is that 0.444 and that 4 repeats. I'll write it with those 4s written out, or at least partially written out. And then I'm going to notice that this is the same thing as 4/10 plus 4 over 100 plus 4 over 1,000, and so on. Because 4/10 is the 0.4. 4 over 100 is 0.04. That gives me the second 4. 4 over 1,000 is 0.004. So when I add them together, I get my repeating decimal. Okay, now the next thing I notice here is that I can factor a 4/10 out of all of these terms. So I'm going to have 4 over 10 times the quantity, 1 plus 1/10 plus 1 over 100, and so on. And then I'm going to notice that I can write this piece that's in parentheses as 1 plus 1 over 10 plus 1 over 10 squared. The next term would be 1 over 10 cubed, and so on. Okay, so now I'm starting to get the feel that it looks a little bit like a geometric series, because I can write this as the series from n equals 0 to infinity of 4/10 times my common ratio, which is going to be 1/10. So that's 1/10 to the n power. So notice what happens. When n equals 0, this is 1/10 to the 0 power, which is 1. So that gives me my 1. When n is 1, I have 1/10 to the first power, which is 1/10. When n is 2, I'll have 1/10 squared, which is 1 over 10 squared, and so on. Okay, so now I have it written as a geometric series. Notice that that common ratio is 1/10. And I know if my common ratio is less than 1, or I should say the absolute value of my common ratio is less than 1, that it converges, and it converges to a divided by 1 minus r. So in this case, the a is 4/10, and the r is 1/10. So I have 4/10 divided by 9/10, and when I invert and multiply, the tenths cancel, and I end up with 4/9. That decimal 0.4, where the 4 repeats, is exactly the same thing as 4/9. I hope that was helpful. Thanks.